warm welcome to a wet Inverleith. This week the Border Rugby special team have travelled all the way up to Edinburgh to cover the match between STEWART'S-MELVILLE and Kelso. Kelso will be hoping to add to their unbeaten streak after their win last week at Biggar. However, I'm sure STEWART'S-MELVILLE will be trying to put an end to their losing streak since they haven't had a win for 2 games in a row. Now let's head over to the commentary box where we join Clancy and Neil Hinnigan.
Yes, it's certainly drizzling down here at Inverleith as Stu-Mel are first onto the park and they get in a huddle just to get the last words as Kelso shelter from the downpour here. And I'll just give a little bit of time to go through there's a few names in the starting lineup. They start with George Lee at fullback. They've got Kadari and Jameson on the wings with Stirling and Anko in the centres. Bowen and Porteous are the half-back pairing. And then in the front row, McRory, Anderson and vice-captain Morrison. A second row pairing of Scott and West. And then a back row of Povey, Brown and Malcolm. And that is the home lineup who have started the season with 1 win from 3-2 defeats have come against Biggar and on the road against Watsonians. And Kelso, now led on by their captain Frankie Robson, now take the field. And Kelso start with Liam Herdman at fullback with Ponton and late replacement Cameron Brown on the wing. The centre pairing of captain Frankie Robson and Dwayne Patterson, and a familiar half-back pairing in the black and white hoops of Andy Tate and Murray Hastie. In the front row we've got Marshall, Knox and Frame. Keith McNeil and Keith Melbourne, the Keith squared, make up the second row. And Cammy Thompson, Kevin Dryden and Bruce McNeil make up the back row. And alongside me just before kick-off, it's just about to get underway, Neil Hinnigan. This is a difficult game for Kelso to come away from home up to Edinburgh to try and get some points and continue what has been a really positive start to your National 1 campaign.
Yeah, the problem we've got in this league, Dale, is you're always looking for that 1 week or 2 weeks where you might get a bit of an easy time of it and maybe get a win that's you're not really overly pressured by. But unfortunately in this league, just all teams are pretty similar. From you have got 1 or 2 teams at the top that could stretch away, but everyone else is pretty tight. And every away game in this league is a very hard game. And with the rain coming down hard, it could be a bit of a leveller. The
rain is no problem for Bruce McNeil as he gathers the kick-off straight away, just down his throat inside his own 22 as Andy Tate hovers about looking to try and find a runner. And he's found the willing run of Keith Melbourne as Kelso try and set up a platform to exit deep inside their own half here and get off to a positive start and make a territorial game, but it's been charged down and Andy Tate's having to scamper back to his own 5 metre line. He's got a bit of pressure there coming from a couple of Stu-Mel players who bundle him over the line. And that's a positive start from the home side, Stu-Mel. Andy Tate under a lot of pressure, not able to be protected at the back of that ruck, and Kelso inviting pressure from the kick-off, Neil.
Yeah, very sloppy. I think Andy's actually missed training this week. He's been on holiday. Maybe still on his holiday there. So yeah, just a bit sloppy. I mean, he just had to get up in the air and he didn't. And credit to Stu-Mel, they've hustled and they've given themselves a good chance to get off to a belter here.
It's a 5 metre scrum over on the far side opposite the stand, the historical stand here at the home of STEWART'S-MELVILLE. There's going to be a first put into the scrum for the captain, Aaron Porteous. And he'll be passing into the open side of the scrum, but that's a big nudge coming on from Kelso. And they obliterate and pulverise the Stu-Mel scrum, and they get the ball back on their side. So the egg has well and truly been wiped off of Aaron Tate's face. Andy Tate, sorry, I don't know why I call him Aaron. And he clears, Kelso managed to clear the lines and get out of their own 22. And the forwards certainly coming at the fore there and really flexing their muscles in the scrum. We're going to see as there's a bit of movement at the front. They turn and they do lift Melbourne, and he's brought down safely to the ground as the Kelso players huddle around the towering Irish second row. And the legs start pumping closer towards that Stu-Mel try line, but it's been well defended by the home side. Andy Tate just watching that carefully, and it's been taken back into the body of the Kirk as the maul looked to splinter, and it's looks like it's almost went to ground there, and it has, and Andy Tate is digging about for that ball. Unfortunately for them, it comes back on their side. Hastie finds Ponton off his wing, and they've got space on that far side, but Dwayne Patterson just cannot gather the ball, and he's knocked it forward when there was loads of space over on that far side. He perhaps had too many options in his mind, and that's an opportunity wasted for Kelso. And the rain is the back of the stand here at Inverleith. The commentary position is well sheltered, but the rain has just started to batter down yet again. The heavens have opened, the respective replacements in well sheltered dugouts. And I think they'll be pretty apprehensive about coming onto the field of play if there's
if Kelso can get the nudge on here, he'll maybe look for a penalty try, but they really need control before a referee will give it, especially at this level. They need control.
Andy Tate puts the ball into the scrum 5 metres out. The nudges came back from Stu Mel, and it's been a secure ball. Bruce McNeil looks to try and barge his way over. Can he stretch his arm over? The referee has got a good look at that, but the ball has came back on a Kelso side. Andy Tate now directing traffic. He finds Alan Frame, and he's been held up well there by some robust and stern Stu Mel defence, as the home side have to dig in to try and thwart this onslaught from Kelso, and they come again. Andy Tate patiently just waiting for the runners to get there as they look to try and muscle their way over the line. They've been driven over, and that looks like it could be a score. The referee has got a good look at that, and he has awarded the score, and I think that looked like it was Frankie Robson who got bowled over, helped with his by his teammate. I think it was Big Keith McNeil who helped push him over the line, and it was patient play there from Kelso, but eventually they do get their try.
Good time to score.
This is definitely going to dictate how play is going to go in this game, because it is absolutely hammering it down now here. The gutters are overflowing. The conversion attempt to come here from the right-footed Dwayne Patterson. He likes the look of it. He turned quite quickly. The referee signals that the conversion was successful.
There's set pieces creaking at the moment, and that's cost them a lot so far, and in these conditions they'll need to sort that out.
They got slightly bullied, you would say, as Bruce McNeil gathers the ball straight from the kick-off and makes some good yards, and I feel that at the start of this game Stu Mel got himself into a good position after some good pressure, but they've been bullied off of the ball, bullied on the floor, and that's what's meant that Kelso quite cheaply were able to get some territory in this game.
One thing I do like about Stu Mel is they get off the line quick and make some big tackles in the middle of the field.
Murray Hastie is fed by his scrum half, Andy Tate, and he kicks down centre field, and it's been well gathered there by Dwayne Patterson. He's managed to just split the defence and catch them unawares. Frankie Robson now having to sweep up to get the ball back on their side. And Andy Tate is there quickly, notices there's some space in behind, and if the bounce of the ball is kind here, Kelso could be in for another score, and it's been
yes, what a try. That is a great try.
Beautiful for Cameron Brown. It bounces up into the clutches of the winger, a late replacement for Harry Cooper, and that's great awareness from the scrum half as well. He noticed that the defence was up after a great field chase by Dwayne Patterson. The ball was kicked in behind by Andy Tate, bounces into the hand of the wingers, and he scampers in for a score. And in wet conditions, that's Champagne Rugby. It's at Stuart Melville's home ground here. Kelso are playing towards the roadside, right to left if you're sitting at the stand, and Dwayne Patterson with the right-footed kick. Again, he's on the money, and that's 2 from 2 from the outside centre, and Kelso have got firm control in this game. 14 minutes gone.
That's me with a neutral hat on, you know, that's a killer for them.
Bruce McNeil picks up at the back of the scrum centre field, and he breaks the first 2 tackles, and now he's looking to try and evade the tackle of the scampering back captain Aaron Pochis. But he's set up a really good phase here as Cam Brown now kicks ahead again, and it looks like he's going to win this foot race. Is he going to get down for the score? And Kelso are in for their 3rd score in the first half. 15 minutes gone, and it's now Stu Mel 0, Kelso 19, and exactly what we were saying. Stu Mel kick the ball back, give it back to Kelso, and the Bruce McNeil break means that Stu Mel all of a sudden are scampering back trying to get some defensive position, and it has been well capitalised on there as the ball was spread wide to Cam Brown. He kicks ahead, and he showed a great turn of pace there. I bet you're glad that Harry Cooper's out of the squad now.
Yeah. I mean, Harry was given a chance, or would have been, because Cammy went away last week, and the rule of our selection is if you're away, you have to take your medicine and come back. And luckily for Cammy and us, Harry's been a little bit under the weather yesterday, so he's pulled out. And yeah, that's to their favour. So you need a bit of luck every now and then. But you know, although Kelso have been great, scintillating really given the conditions, and I'm absolutely delighted with the way that we've started. Stu Mel are giving them leg up after leg up. If I was in the Stu Mel camp, or if I was a neutral, I'd be going, what are these guys doing in these situations? Maybe inexperience, I don't know, but full credit to us for taking full advantage, because we've been deadly so far.
Dwayne Patterson yet again kicks it from exactly the same position, and I think they could probably just leave the tee there. I think that's 3 from 3 from pretty much the exact same spot for the outside centre. And again from the set piece, it's not successful for Stu Mel, and it's just went over the tail of the line out and been well swept up there by Frame. The Frames just went infield, and it's set up the ruck there, and Tate finds McNeil now, who's on the 10 metre line. He's got a couple of players round his ankles, but is still moving forward. He's eventually been brought down to ground as Patterson now acts as first receiver and stabs it through, but it's been well gathered there by the winger, but fumbled, and it's now fallen into the hands of Kelso yet again, and it's Frankie Robson on the 22 on that far right side, and Kelso now have got their tails up on the attack. They've got a couple of players there. It's a replacement, Fergus Common, who's got his first real carry in this game. Andy Tate being dragged into that ruck by some STEWART'S-MELVILLE hands. The referee's got a good look at that as Herdman acts as first receiver now, and STEWART'S-MELVILLE try and bust out the line. Almost snatched that from the air, but it was inch perfect from Herdman distributing to the oncoming runners there. And Hastie now's got a couple of runners. Bruce McNeil is one of them. A little bit of crossing perhaps there, they're saying, for the STEWART'S-MELVILLE fans, but the referee's having none of it. It's again Kelso making some good ground into the deep into towards the STEWART'S-MELVILLE 22 now. And there's some isolated runners. STEWART'S-MELVILLE look to try and dig about on the floor and get the ball back, not able to, as Keith McNeil takes it a couple of yards further forward. And now Keith Melbourne, who's been relatively quiet so far in precedence. We've had 23 minutes so far in this game, and it's been all the backs who've been doing all the dancing. The forwards doing the nitty gritty up front in very challenging conditions, slippy conditions, but they've been setting the platform for their backs to certainly feed off. And now Tate, centre field in the 22, finds Bruce McNeil, who just goes back towards the congested area. He's perhaps running into a bit of trouble there as Keith Melbourne loses his footing, looking to try and clear out, but he does come back on a Kelso side as Murray Hastie puts boot to ball. It's a high contestable kick here for Brown to try and go for, and Dryden's there as well, but it's just dribbled. I think forward there the referee is signalling there's been a knock on perhaps. I think it's been a knock on from STEWART'S-MELVILLE. It's going to be a put into the scrum for Kelso. Andy Tate, ex-club captain, obviously represented the south and his hometown of Berwick as well, feeds into the scrum. And it is Kelso who's getting the nudge forward now, just doing exactly what Neil Hinnigan was asking for. It's going towards that try line. And the referee is awarded the penalty try straight away there. No doubts in his mind that was going to be a try. Another 7 points for Kelso. And it's the bonus point now, and that's exactly what you wanted. They've tested the scrum up front, and there's a yellow card there as well. It's 28-0 here for Kelso, the visitors, after 25 minutes, so this could end up being a cricket score. But Murray Hastie from the restart has eventually found the ball and kicked it downfield, and it's into the hands of Ewan Bowen, the fly half for STEWART'S-MELVILLE, who returns it. But it's again straight down the throats of Kelso, and here they come again. Bruce McNeil wrong foot in the first defenders, bowling over a couple of more. And he plays like he's still 21, but I think he's about 55 now.
That's clever, that's what we want all day.
Murray Hastie spotting a gap in the backfield for Greg Ponton to chase. He's been evaded as both players look to try and gather that ball, and the captain Porteous got across well and did some good work sweeping up in the backfield. A good awareness there from Murray Hastie. He noticed there was a space in behind the STEWART'S-MELVILLE defence. He stabbed it straight into the STEWART'S-MELVILLE 22. It's a place that STEWART'S-MELVILLE have been very familiar with in these first 26 minutes. STEWART'S-MELVILLE now looking to exit from deep inside their own half, and the captain Porteous puts boot to ball with a box kick on the 15-metre line, just on his 22, but has been gathered infield by Murray Hastie, who has a challenging ball towards Herdman, who's been met with a really solid challenge by George Lee, but he does well to ride it and get the ball back on a Kelso side. And certainly physically Kelso are looking good, and physicality usually in abundance from Frankie Robson. He doesn't make great yardage, but manages to secure the ball as well. And it's been hoisted into the air again by Andy Tate, and it's been kicked forward and now ricocheting and bouncing off of various players. And it's going to be a put into the scrum for Kelso, but they've certainly got control of this game. Andy Tate now at the ruck. He finds Dryden. Dryden's been met with two tacklers looking to double up on the back row and take him to ground early. And Frame, the robust and burly tight head prop, gets round there and just looks to steal a few yards as Murray Hastie notices a bit of space over there in the backfield in this big open pitch here, and it gives another one for Ponton to try and chase, just short of the STEWART'S-MELVILLE 22, but it bobbles into touch, and it's going to be a throw into the line out for STEWART'S-MELVILLE.
Given the way the line-outs are going for STEWART'S-MELVILLE, that's bread and butter for Kelso now. Even if it is only 20-30 metre gain, we've got to have to ask the question of their line-out again. I mean, they might very well win one, they're due to win one, but if Melbourne keeps scooping this up, that's prime time for Kelso.
Again, it's not been contested in the air that time, but it has ended up in the hands of Keith McNeil, but the referee has just adjudged that they closed the gap early there, I think. Is that what he signalled?
He may be right, I think they maybe did, but I think that's probably happened just about all of them. I think it's just STEWART'S-MELVILLE sort of throwing it in like a grenade and everybody's jumping like an old school line out for it. So the referee's obviously thought, no, I've had enough of this, and rightly so, penalised Kelso there. Yeah,
I think you need to let the game flow there, but I know that's a law they're trialling down under. But again, STEWART'S-MELVILLE not able to find their target, and then they concede a scrum, and then they're being marched back towards their own 10-metre line. There's been a good 4 or 5 metres at that one. This scrum here from Kelso has been nudged forward, and it's been expertly dribbled by Bruce McNeil, and he thought Andy Tate was there on his shoulder, but the scrum half had ghosted the wrong way, and Bruce McNeil has been asked to do it alone. He's gathered up his own pass and managed to charge himself over the 10-metre line, and the protection for Andy Tate is few and far between at that breakdown as Keith Melbourne finds Keith McNeil as they mix up in midfield. The two second rows looking to try and steady the ship and draw this Stewart's-Melville defence in and open the gaps up out wide as Murray Hastie gets the ball through the hands to Patterson. Patterson's now split the defence. He's got the offload in as well as Herdman goes through. It's a 2-on-1 situation and he doesn't give the pass. He's bobbled back up to his feet and he's charging towards the line, but Stewart's-Melville scampering back well there in defence and managing just to stop the fullback going over. As Marshall now carries the ball forward and he's been penalised on the floor. Kelso, in a dangerous situation, cough up the ball, but perhaps you would wonder what was going through Herdman's mind there, as he had the option to perhaps give the ball to Brown, although in Herdman's defence I don't think Brown was in the best position to receive that ball, and that's probably the worst line out we've seen so far. So the change in the front row and the change in hooker for Stu-Mel has not worked, and it's fed its way back on the Kelso side to the captain Frankie Robson. And Andy Tate has got Bruce McNeil coming round the corner. Keith McNeil it's this time. And he's going round at a very dangerous angle to try and defend. And the runners who are looking to try and keep the momentum going from Kelso overrun the scrum half's orders as Andy Tate keeps the ball in at the breakdown. And Frame finds himself on his back like a cow jow, but manages to get the ball back on his side. And now Melbourne, he's found Herdman, who's got space there for Robson to go through, but he's just the pass there from the fullback was just perhaps at the wrong angle for Robson to make any head of steam. And now the replacement, Danny Morrison, now got the ball in hand for Stu-Mel up towards the halfway line, and the bodies are flying into the breakdown now from Stu-Mel as we approach half time here at Inverleith. And it's went for, I think that was back in the pocket was Jeff Ango, who's just tried to find a little bit of space in the infield area for Kelso, and it's now been kicked out in the full, and I think that's Dwayne Patterson who's kicked out in the full. So a good territorial gain from Stu-Mel, and that's a little bit better from the home side.
Great territorial win for Stu-Mel, and they might could just get one before half time, and that would maybe make it game on.
Yeah, they'd have to win their line out first, and they're not able to there, but it's came back on our Stu-Mel side. The referee letting that play.
It went forward.
I thought that did bobble forward. Stu-Mel get it back on their side now. It's through the fly half there, feeds his runner Bowen, who's distributing for really the first time in an attacking position, and the man who got them in this position, Anko, manages to get the ball through the hands, but it's been bobbled, and now Greg Ponton, the 33-year-old electrician, puts boot to ball. It's a left-footed kick, and it's going to be a foot race here, but Patterson has just been evaded by the bouncing ball in the blink of an eye when we're up in the Kelso 22. Now all of a sudden Stu-Mel are having to scamper back to their own 22, and now Stewart's-Melville again through the hands of the vice captain Danny Morrison looks to try and get ahead of steam and break free from their own half as we approach half time here. And Stu-Mel, he's got a runner there, but that's going in absolute no man's land there from the pass from the base, and it's the fullback George Lee coming off his position, looking to try and go in between the two runners, and now the scrum half travelling with the ball, Porteous. He's found his fly half there, Bowen, who bounces off his feet, good run, good offload, and he finds his scrum half, who's got some attention there from Frankie Robson, who just absolute malkies the scrum half in contact, and it's going to be a penalty here to Stu-Mel, and they're going to end the half in a flurry, but you wonder what they're going to do here. It's been a 15-minute period where Stu-Mel have certainly got their tails up and made more of a game of it, but it's went forward there from Kelso by the looks of things from the line out. It's going to be a scrum down, and you wonder if the referee is going to signal for half time. He has a little glance at his watch, he blasts the whistle for half time, and it's certainly been a very fruitful first 40 minutes for Kelso. Tate from the scrum finds Murray Hastie. Straight first phase ball as he tries to find Herdman coming at a rate and knots into the line, but it's just bobbled off his chest and straight into the welcoming hands of Mike Jamieson, who had a torrid time in the first half trying to deal with Cameron Brown, who was a late replacement for the injured Harry Cooper, whose his inclusion, Cammy Brown, in the first half, he got 2 tries, so it's certainly been a positive reshuffle for Kelso. Stewart's-Melville have scored points, but they've yet to score 28 points in the league campaign. They scored 27 in their opening day victory against GHK. As from the scrum, they look to try and create something off first phase, but not able to. But they've made a couple of yards over halfway as the inside centre there, Jeff Anko, straightens up and looks to try and target a gap in midfield. And now Stewart's-Melville look to recycle the ball there, and it's Ali Scott, the second row, who's been tasked with trying to breach and take the game to Kelso and breach this very stubborn Kelso defence. And now the ball coming to one of the half-time replacements there, Mikey Miller. He's got his first taste with ball in hand. And now the prop there, the vice-captain for Stewart's-Melville, Danny Morrison, taking play up towards the 10-metre line. And it's been a penalty awarded for Kelso after some good work on the floor. They look to try and take it quickly, but defensively Kelso look pretty strong. They really cover the field quite well, because Stewart's-Melville are looking to shift the point of contact, but Kelso look like they've always got bodies there. And it's an inaccurate line out there, and it's Stewart's-Melville who managed to get the ball, but Kevin Dryden doing what all good back rows do, and doing the dogged work and getting in the dangerous positions, and he intercepts the ball just shy of his own 22. And it's now going to be a Kelso ball, and Andy Tate has got Murray Hastie, who's got Patterson out the back, and he's going to put his right foot to that ball and try and kick it downfield. But there's a waiting player there in the form of George Lee, the fullback, with the head guard on, takes play straight into the shoulder of Frankie Robson, and the referee has brought play back there. And I think it's going to be a penalty to Stu-Mel, and Fraser Strachan's looking to go quickly. He's loitering round about the referee. A great character, Fraser Strachan, and a very experienced scrum half.
Fraser's a cracking player. He's a kind of...
He's taking the tap quickly, but the referee is going to bring that back. But yeah, Fraser Strachan is a good player to bring on.
He's the kind of guy for these occasions, you know, if you need a bit of grit, a bit of determination, I never say die attitude. Fraser's all of that, and he is a character, he's a good laugh, but he's also got a good serious nature in the rugby pitch, and he's the kind of guy they need now. He's definitely the guy to come on for them. He's
taking the quick tap there, and it looks to feed his vice-captain Danny Morrison, who's probably going to take over captain duties here, and Stewart's-Melville looking to try and knock at the door and break it down, but it's came back on a Kelso side, and it's been, I think, a pitching wedge straight out of the 5-metre line from Andy Tate from the back of that ruck, clears their lines, but only up to the 22, and that comes from Fraser Strachan there. It's a put into the scrum for Stu-Mel on the 15-metre line, blob on the 22 as well in the Kelso half, just creeping out of the shadows from the stand side as the sun starts to split the sky in Edinburgh. And it's Strachan who looks to find the 12, and he's got the inside centre on a big burly run. Anko is the player there in the 12 jersey for Stu-Mel, and Strachan does do well to find his big number 8, William Malcolm. And he's still caught on the 22-metre line, as Stewart's-Melville find it very difficult to try and break this very dogged Kelso defence, and play is again on the 22-metre line, and Fraser Strachan's got some options, and it's opened up there for Stewart's-Melville. If they can execute this pass, they could be in for a score in the corner, and that's an excellent score from Stewart's-Melville. It is the loose head prop Ewan McCroody who goes in for this score, and you've got to say, when we've been praising the Kelso defence, there was that mismatch, and it just opened up, and the fullback there, George Lee, managed to split the defence, and it was just a matter of executing the passes after that. On the 50-minute mark, Stewart's-Melville get off the mark, and they're looking to try and add the extras, and that looks like a good kick, and it's just kissed the right hand post. It's probably fairly accurate. You would imagine that the complacency started to creep into Kelso, and maybe found it a little bit too easy after 25 minutes as Bruce McNeil breaks off the back of that scrum. Andy Tate, the scrum half, the ever-present scrum half, who's spent many a season at Poynter Park, he feeds the ball to big Keith Melbourne. The runner's coming round the corner, now it's Knox who's put his hand in the air looking for work off of an open play, and Andy Tate again is just slowing pace down slightly, and perhaps looking to try and lure the Stewart's-Melville defence into a false sense of security as Bruce McNeil carries, and now it's up to the backs. It's found Patterson, who's got Herdman. He's got Melbourne on his shoulder for some support, but he's been dragged back towards the 22, but gets the ball back on the Kelso side, and now it's for Frame to carry. He's gone in very high there as the Stewart's-Melville players look to try and swarm him, but it's again came back on a Kelso side as they're doing well to retain the ball as Bruce McNeil twists and weaves out of trouble. And now Hastie, he's passed a challenging ball to Herdman, who does well to gather that. He's been met with again a couple of Stewart's-Melville shirts as plays up towards the Stewart's-Melville 22. And now another carry for the forwards that they get there to try and offer their support. Bruce McNeil clearing out with Keith there as well. And Andy Tate is looking at his options. He's got Kevin Dryden on a flat pass. He's got Cam Brown in support, who's been met with the outside centre, Jeff Anko, who's managed to defend the right winger pretty well there. But Kelso are making some good yards here, getting slowly closer towards that try line as the referee has noticed an infringement at the breakdown. It's going to be a penalty to Kelso. A throw into the line out now. It's Ewan Knox to throw into this line out on the 5-metre line. and he finds Melbourne. He's been brought down and the maul moves the target, and it tries to catch Stewart's-Melville unawares, but not able to get close enough to that line as Bruce McNeil twists out of danger and gets closer and closer to that line. But Kelso, the first priority there is to secure the ball as Andy Tate keeps a keen eye over proceedings in those tight areas as Kelso get closer and closer as they try and pick and go and get the next score in this game. And it's a score that my colleague Neil Hinnigan is certainly craving from his team, and get that 5 points and just put a little bit of daylight and a little bit of wind out of the sails, and it's exactly what Kelso get. They get over the line there, and it looks like it's going to be a score for Bruce McNeil. He does get on the score sheet eventually. He's been trying with great endeavour, but that's Bruce McNeil's distance, about half a yard out from the line, and he gets a good score.
He got one from about 2 inches last week, and that's another one. He scored from about 4 inches altogether in the last two weeks, but they all count, and that's Bruce, as you say. We're joking about that, is he's, where he's about now in the tight areas, and I just think we needed that just to settle us down. We've been a little bit frantic since half time, maybe a mixture of maybe getting things a little bit our own way too easily, and then now we've had to come in and show a little bit of character after Stewell's try, and
a little bit more accurate in the dangerous areas there from Kelso as Dwayne Patterson now. He's got his 4th kick of the afternoon, likes to try and keep his 100% record. Obviously 5 tries here, one of the penalty tries, and it's another accurate kick from the outside centre. He splits the kindling and makes it 35 points to 5 on the 56-minute mark. The Stewart's-Melville players working hard to try and get out the road as Dwayne Patterson puts in a lovely kick, and it's gone in the hands of Herdman. He's got some support on the far side, but it's just too ambitious, that pass, to get in, and as he looks to go it alone. But what a deft kick there from Patterson. Now the second phase comes now. The ball goes out the back of Patterson and dribbles into touch behind Ponton, but what a kick that was from Patterson.
Yeah, nice little grabber through, and yeah, Liam took it well at full tilt, and it would have been a good pass to finish it, but it was on, and I don't think he's seen him. I think Ponton was on the outside there, and if the pass was good, it was a walk-in for Ponton, but I don't think he's seen him or heard him, and he had to go it alone, and well defended by Stewell. They covered it well.
Fraser Strachan feeds the on-rush, and Gregor Stirling this time. And ball's coming out the back now again to Gregor Lee. He's danced back in field. He's been met with Bruce McNeil, and I think he's fended himself off his chest and fallen to the floor. Very submissive there from the fullback George Lee, but good play for Stewell as they retain the ball. Now coming around the corner, Mikey Miller, the playmaker who's had a good impact on this game. He finds the try scorer there, Ewan McCrory, who finds the winger. Mike Jamieson offloading to him on the 5 metre line, and play has been taken in between the halfway line and the 10 metre line as Fraser Strachan looks to try and snipe from round the fringes. He manages to steal a couple of yards and get closer towards that halfway line as his back row, Owen Brown, does exactly the same. Just a little bit more physical from the back row player. Now the vice-captain there, Danny Morrison, looking to try and keep it tight. It's 10 metres made there from Stewart's-Melville in tight quarters, but it's came back on a Kelso side. Now Melbourne feeds the ball through his hands to Robson. The turnover here, it's been kicked forward from Frankie Robson, but it's been bounced into the hands of Jeff Anko. The Stewart's-Melville inside centre was in the right place at the right time. It was on his own 10 metre line. It's came back into the hands of Stewart's-Melville as they look to now spread the ball and try and exploit these gaps further wide. There's been a knock on there from Kelso, but the advantage is going to come for the home side as Fraser Strachan just takes proceedings down to a more pedestrian pace. He's looking to try and get the penalty there. He's got the penalty, he's taking it quickly and looks to just run straight at the heart of Keith Melbourne. And I think the referee has noticed that that's an infringement there, and Keith Melbourne is going to be yellow carded, which I think is a bit soft.
That is very, very poor by the referee. I know why he's given the yellow card, but Fraser Strachan deliberately puts the ball down, gets the tap, takes it quick and runs straight into him. I mean, that's good play by Fraser Strachan, and that's what we've talked about with him, but the referee's got to look at that and think, right, okay, it is on maybe a penalty, but you can't milk it that much.
I think I would tend to agree with you there, Neil. I think that was a very soft yellow card. I don't think discipline has been a bad issue for Kelso this afternoon. I think they've been very disciplined throughout the 65 minutes that we've had so far. As Danny Morrison's going to be withdrawn, the vice-captain, Rue Mitchell, wearing number 22, is going to come on. He's certainly a big lump of a laddie at the back of that line out. He's going to be a difficult player to try and bring down if he gets the ball in hand. But it came back on a Kelso side from that line out, and it's been just thrown about very loosely from the home side. It's been in the hands of Cam Brown, and as he's tackled, he's knocked on. It's going to be a put into the scrum, and this is perhaps when we're going to see the replacement Rue Mitchell come to fruition, because he's certainly not a playmaker. He's there to be physical in terms of the front row and shore up the front row.
Yeah, Rue Mitchell's a good player, experienced player. I don't know if he's been playing much lately, but he's a kind of guy you want in your squad, and Stu Melville obviously called upon him to get back out of the mix here, and yeah, he'll bring a lot of experience and, as you say, power in the front row. And yeah, he's not a playmaker, no, but he is a good player. And Kelso just a bit ragged and lost their way a little bit, silly yellow card, and yeah, just need to tidy things up a little bit.
It'll be interesting to see if that yellow card is going to make much of an impact in the scrum here. And the replacements as well, as Fraser Strachan feeds the ball in. Stuart's Melville get a little bit of a nudge on, and now it's going forward. It's been controlled at the back there from William Malcolm, and he tries to break free, and it almost looked like Stuart's Melville were in, but it's going to be a penalty.
Yeah, it was blocking, but sometimes you get away with them, you know. I've seen them, the ref maybe just miss it or whatever, but he picked up on it, and it definitely was.
And now it's in the hands of Mikey Miller, who's had a good impression on this second half as he came on as a half-time replacement, and Stuart's Melville doing well to make some good yards there. And now the big number 8, William Malcolm, in close quarters, about 5 metres away from the breakdown, looks to try and steal some yardage there, and the second row's linking up well there, Ali Scott and Courtney West. And now it's been spilled out wide. It's now Anko, and he puts boot to ball and tries to find some space and peg Kelso back inside their own half. Strachan again, the replacement scrum half, rolls the ball into the scrum, and the nudge now comes on from Stuart's Melville. The referee was quick with the penalty try earlier on, but it's been loosely controlled at the back there by William Malcolm, the number 8. But it has come back on a Stuart's Melville side as the scrum half replacement Strachan just leaves proceedings up to the forwards and just loiters about the back of that ruck. It's pick and go now from the Stuart's Melville forwards, the home side, looking to try and muscle their way over the line, but it squirts out of the ruck there. It's been swept up there by Owen Brown. He manages just to get the ball from the side of proceedings as Kelso find themselves on the wrong side of the ruck there. It's now into the hands of the outside centre, Gregor Stillen, who bounces back in field. He's been collared there by Kelso, who just managed to grab the neck, and it's going to be interesting to see what the referee does here. And I think he's not got an itchy side. I think he's looking for another yellow card there, and it's going to be a yellow card for Kelso for a high tackle there, and you would argue that one, yeah, that one's probably merited.
Stone cold yellow card.
Stu Melcom again, they look to try and break from William Malcolm as they tap and go quickly. Fraser Strachan again dictating orders. He's got Brown for support, and on the 5 metre line he breaks the first couple of challenges, and Kelso are having to do well to recycle themselves and get in the defensive positions, but the nudge now comes on from Kelso, who managed to steal it. Andy Tate kicks downfield and manages to clear his lines, and Stu Mel will have the throw into the line out on the 22. You know, you must be having a casting eye over towards next week against Thailand. Obviously they're going to have to come down to Poynter Park, but that's a different fixture.
Last year we beat them 43-3 at home, and I remember the reaction of their players was something they weren't used to, and they took it really badly. So I'm expecting them to come down with a fair bit of purpose next week and try and right that wrong. So we'll have to be very up for that. A totally different game, I totally agree, and it'll be a tough game. But yeah, at home you maybe got to fancy us at Poynter to get the job done. Aye,
definitely. I would say I remember the Kelso Melrose game in the Border League National League doubleheader. It was probably one of my favourite games last season. The atmosphere was great as Stuart's Melville kicked downfield. It's a foot race here as Cam Brown and Greg Ponton have to get across quickly. It's been travelled over the line, and Jameson just diving on the player. The referee has adjudged that to being carried back over the line by Greg Ponton. I would tend to agree with him, as it looked like it was just a couple of inches short of the try line, and the replacement fullback, he started on the wing, obviously playing fullback now, got across very, very well. The scrum now on the 5 metre line is getting marched forward by Stuart's Melville, and it's closer and closer to the line, and you would imagine there's going to be a try coming. They flop over the line, and the referee has said it's been knocked on over the line by the big towering number 8, William Malcolm. And Strachan now, he finds Miller, the fly half, running direct, splits the defence. He's got some support in the shoulder. He looks to try and go it alone. He's had some options, but it just didn't take them. He had Rory Anderson outside him, and now Stuart's Melville again in an attacking position. The big ball fended across. It's the big second row, cannot find his man on the wing. He could not find Jameson. Ali Scott just passing that far too low for the supporting player. But again, Mikey Miller, what great broken field running. And it's Kelso who are going to be defending in the the dying embers of this game. We've got about 2 minutes left, and it's a put into the scrum for Stewart's-Melville again, and they look to try and take this closer and closer to the line. And again, it's underneath the guise of William Malcolm at the back, and this time he manages to get the ball down. The big number 8 gets the score after earlier just infringing and knocking the ball over the line. And it's a score there for the number 8, and it's a quick drop conversion that kisses the left-hand post this time and squeezes over. The ball's congested in that area as Fraser Strachan gets the ball back, and it's been knocked on there by the second row Ali Scott as he tried to gather the ball, but the referee does blow the whistle for full time here at Inverleith, and it's a spirited second half comeback from Stewart's-Melville, but in the end they fall foul to what was an impressive and an inspired first half performance from Kelso. Stewart's-Melville 12, Kelso 35.
Feel pretty good. It was a good start to the first half. I think we played 30 minutes of good rugby in that game, but managed to get the job done. It's pretty wet weather at times today, which made things interesting, but yeah, we got there.
Tough game. First half was it was really tough. They played the conditions really well, and sort of after 30 minutes the game was almost over. But I think in the second half there's a lot of positives to take from it. You know, once we got a scrum, a bit more of a set piece, we had a bit more of the ball, and we definitely finished a stronger team. So plenty of positives to take into next week.
The scrum was really good. A few line-outs went astray, but it was really slippy. It was like a bar of soap at times. So no, really happy for the big fellas to get over the line.
And we have to talk about Cammy Brown. Obviously he's moved from back row and was our replacement wing today, and he scored 2 tries from that. What's it been like for him as a player to be able to be a utility player?
Cammy's got a really good skill set. Don't tell him I said that. But no, he'll adapt to anything, the lad. He's a real talented bloke, and he's a big physical runner out in the wing as well. So it's yeah, glad for him to get a couple of tries as well. A bit confidence boost for him on the wing, yeah.
I suppose when you're down that much, you can try things. You're let go a bit more. So yeah, we tried a few things, and they were coming off, and we were getting the sort of rub of the green with the penalties, and yeah, they maybe took their foot off the gas a wee bit as well. So yeah, I think it was just bring a bit of speed into the game, and we managed to do that. And I think the last 20 minutes we were mainly down in their 22 or in their half certainly. So
we're on a couple of wins in a row now, so we just need to keep rolling, and hopefully we can front up and have a big start against Highland, and then take it from there.